Hello and welcome to the news cycle on Global TV. I am Judith Peters in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is currently meeting with the President of Benin Republic, Patrice Talon, Nigeria Republic, Mohamed Bazoum, and Guinea-Bissau, Umaro Sissoko Embalo, at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. The three neighboring African presidents came separately and were received by the Brigade of Guards at the Fourth Court before they proceeded to Tinubu's office. The visiting president, who arrived at the Aso Rock Presidential Villa at about noon, are expected to discuss issues around economic integration with their host. Also present to receive the visiting president were the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, Chief of Staff, Femi Gbajabiamila, Special Advisor to the President on Special Duties, Communications and Strategy, Dele Alake, and others. The reason for the meeting was yet to be made public at the time of filing this report. Bode George, the former Deputy National Chairman of the People's Democratic Party on Tuesday, said things are not working in Nigeria because the country's constitution is copied from the American Constitution. The PDP chieftain made the statement while featuring as a guest speaker at the 5th-year lecture organized by Swire Limited. The lecture was themed 2023 to 2027 Nigerians elected leaders and expectations. Speaking during an event which took place in Ikeja, Lagos State, Bode George noted that the Nigerian constitution is military in setting and needed to be reviewed. A member of the All Progressive Congress, APC, Engineer Abu Moisoro, has stressed the need that Bola Ahmed Tinubu's government to make the agricultural sector more attractive. Moisoro, who appeared on Global TV's Midday Discuss, stated that while the fusion between agriculture and technology is critical for growth of the sector, government has a crucial responsibility in addressing fundamental changes.
The idea of us just bringing technology to solve the generic problem is now going to, catch on. It will help, but it will not catch on. The reason why is because our agricultural sector is no longer attractive. So the first thing the government needs to do is to get that interest that needs to be surrounded around agriculture so that our people can now go back to the farms. If we go back to the farms, then now we can now deploy technology, education, training now to help us, get a better yield, get a better production. But if we just bring technology and we don't do the basics, just to bring people back to the farm, I don't think it will sustain because there is nobody on the farm.
On ways to make agriculture more attractive, Engineer Moisoro further enumerated a range of underlying issues that must be tackled going forward.
And there are several issues why we are not interested in going to the farm. Oil is one, conflicts, security is another, transportation is a key component of food. It is very, very bad in most places, especially in villages and rural areas. So those are the things that this government needs to look at in this emergency.
5 inmates of the Kuje Custodial Center have bagged university degrees in various disciplines at the National Open University of Nigeria. At a presentation of certificates to the graduates in Abuja, the Controller General of Nigeria Correctional Service, Aliru Nababa, said education was a potential means to rehabilitate. This is as over 200 inmates at the center are enrolled in tertiary education, represented by the Controller of Correction FCT Command. Ibrahim Idris Nababa expressed confidence that the inmates could compete favorably with their counterparts without stigmatization. Action Aid Nigeria and Center for Social Justice have expressed profound concerns over the federal government's proposed 500 million naira palliative distribution. Speaking at a collaboration meeting, Eze Onyekpere, the Executive Director of Social Justice, expressed worry on how the money will be digitally transferred to the targeted households, considering that millions of extremely poor individuals in Nigeria do not have bank accounts, mobile wallet, or easy access to banking service. Our correspondent files in this report.
Whilst in consideration that the intervention may provide temporary relief, Onyekpere says it is unlikely to sufficiently address the long-term effects of inflation on the impoverished population.
Fair and inclusive selection process. There is a risk of uneven distribution where deserving individuals or regions may be left out, while others who may not be in dire need will mostly receive the funds, thereby undermining the intended purposes of poverty alleviation.
Here, and there is a pronouncement of this 500 billion. We are worried, but like my colleague has said, we need things that can generate employment. Unemployment is at its highest level. And so we need to do something that can create more jobs for young Nigerians.
The two groups further raised concern over lack of transparency and clarity on the criteria by the federal government to identify the 12 million recipients.
Fuel subsidy, as announced by the president, has contributed to high inflation rates across the country. While the proposed monthly disbursement of 8,000 may provide some temporary relief, it is unlikely to significantly cushion the impact of inflation on the livelihoods of the poor. We must consider the long-term effects and sustainable solutions needed to address the root causes of poverty.
For our population, planning for that is that you need to invest in the human capital. You need to also prepare for how you will consume the capital that you have. And so it's our honest opinion, we are calling on the federal government, because this is not the time you spend money anyhow. If you look at even 100,000 that we are talking about, if you convert it to the naira, to the dollars, how much is it? This government has also, pulled up the devaluation of the naira has come to another level. And so we are coping with staff, we are coping with so many people who we don't know what to do.
He further encouraged the federal government to hasten efforts towards expanding domestic production and raising local-made goods and services. Kike Lomo Ukeri, Global Television News.
The Nigeria Senate has called on the Ministries of Works and Housing, Environment as well as Ecological Fund Office to urgently tackle the menace of erosion devastating major roads across the country. The Upper Legislative Chamber also wants the Federal Roads Maintenance Agency, FEMA, to join in the detection and prevention of erosion menace on the highways. Kikelo Mokere completes the story.
This resolution will reach on Tuesday plenary after a debate on three separate motions stating the urgent need to control the erosion ravaging Onitsha-Oba section of Onitsha-Owerri Federal Highway in Anambra by Senator Victor Ume, and the immediate need for erosion control in Edo Central as well as Ondo South Senatorial District to save lives and property by Senator Okpewolu Monday and Jimoh Ibrahim respectively. In his motion, Senator Ume noted with dismay the devastating effect of ravaging gully erosion and landslides on the road in the country, especially in Anambra State.
The Senate equally notes that the magnitude of the menace is beyond the control of the state government. Accordingly, the Senate resolves to urge the federal government to direct the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing to commence immediate repairs and reconstruction of the affected parts of the Onitsha-Owerri Federal Roads, and particularly the sections between Opiweka roundabout in Onitsha and Oba in the Demle South local government area of Anambra State, which spans about 6 kilometers. The Senate also urges the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing to ensure regular surveillance of federal highways to identify and nip erosion threats to federal routes in the belt.
On their part, other senators noted that the peculiar nature of topography in Edo and Ondo State has put many communities under the constant threat, resulting in massive flooding on the roads.
Also worried that ongoing highway routes projects in Edo Central face the risk of being damaged even before they are completed, as a result of which the community may just be losing the government may just be losing hundreds of millions of naira because of the natural disaster.
That the World Bank is actually getting involved now in designing that the community cannot go into extinction. It cannot be watered over by the sea completely. And I say this worried that the Ayetoro is at the verge of being completely lost to the sea if nothing is done urgently.
After the debate on the motion, which were widely supported by lawmakers, President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, therefore directed the Committee on Environment, Ecology, Works and Special Duties, when constituted, to urge all ministries to come up with lasting work plans to arrest the devastating effects of flooding in the country.
It's taking care of all your fears, that they should have a holistic approach to take inventory of all the areas of gully erosions and other forms of erosion across the country. But I think we also have a duty, when our committees are in place, these things must be, we must undertake serious oversight, and state by state, by the various committees on environment and the ecological office, on ecological issues and all that.
Kike Lomo Ukeri, Global Television News.
The Nigeria Ethnic Nationalities Youth Leaders Council has expressed their concern over President Bola Ahmed Tinubu-led federal government intended full subsidy palliative to 12 million households. The youth group assures their continuity to support government good policy, while also disagreeing with the government and policy that do not have direct bearing on the well-being of the masses. Michael Edikun has the report.
Addressing journalists in Abuja, President General Niger Delta Ethnic Nationalities Youth Leaders Council, Comrade Terry Obier, called on the federal government to consider an upward review of the 8,000 amount meant for the subsidy, which will not caution the hardships of the poor, targeted poor Nigerians. He further urged the federal government to increase the amount to 50,000 naira, which on average can provide for the basic needs of households under the current economic situation.
Whereas we support the government completely on subsidy removal, we advise that it should be handled with utmost caution. We support the government because the nation cannot continue to subsidize fraud. It is unfortunate that the outgoing administration laid such a landmine, but with rightful mindset and focused leadership, we are certain that the present government will negotiate over it.
The group leaders applauded the government completely on subsidy removal, while advising that it should be handled with utmost caution, also suggesting that the government should set up a broad-based investigative committee to look into the subsidy fraud over the years.
It is our firm position that the federal government must consider an upward review of the 8,000 amount meant for the subsidy, which will not caution the hardship of the poor, targeted poor Nigerians. We call on the federal government to increase the amount to 50,000, which is an average can provide for the basic need for household under the current economic situation. The government has now allowed the marketers to determine price of the pump price. As of today, the fuel pump price is 6.17 per litre. If the federal government will not take necessary steps to alleviate the harsh condition of the suffering masses, we may be forced to mobilize ethnic nationality youths in Nigeria to make the federal government to do the necessary.
He further urged government to give incentive licenses to individuals and corporate organizations who may wish to build refineries. Edikan Michael, Global TV News.
The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited in the early hours of Tuesday raised the pump price of petrol from 537 naira per litre, which was a price when fuel subsidy was removed by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on May 29 this year, to 670 naira per litre. The development took many Nigerians unaware, considering the fact that many of them are still grappling with the recent fuel price increase when the subsidy was removed by the President. Many motorists that visited the fuel station on Tuesday with the hope of buying at the old price of 537 naira per litre were surprised to meet a new pump price. Edikon Michael, who visited the fuel station in the Federal Capital Territory, now brings us the details.
The price of petrol has increased from 537 naira to 617 naira today. This has been confirmed by the independent oil marketers. We are on the streets of Abuja to react, of course, to sample reactions of Nigerians in this very high price.
Disheartening, because this thing, even at rate of that 537 there is a lot of hardship. This one has created a lot of, in fact, I don't even know. Many people, in fact, as I'm talking to you now, I wanted to get a fuel now. I'm going to buy the fuel of 30,000. I don't know how many times it's going to give me.
I'm not finding it so easy, even from the initial price. When government want to look at something, increments of fuel prices, we should look at the masses. They have not put some things in order to make it so convenient for the individuals. Now, in the increase of fuel price now, many people will not be able to go to work. Look at me, I have been queued here now. All of a sudden, I just find out that the price have increased to 617.
Nigeria is very, very amazing. It's very surprising. It's an indication that the country is heading towards, what do I call economic destruction.
This government, we don't know how this government will carry poor man go. Because of, if you check everything now, everything don't cost for market. It's not only fuel. And if you check now, we think whether Jagaba would do in poor people well. But now, Jagaba, you don't know poor people. Now, actually now, fuel, when they lack, let them carry the fuel, go 1,000 naira. We will see there.
Nigerians further lament over the increase in the fuel price as it affects transportation and other amenities, calling on the federal government to make a provision to cushion the hardship.
The message to government is that government should do something about this fuel subsidy removal. We're expecting maybe the price will still come down. Now it's even rising up again. But the only mistake I see the government have ever done is that before you remove a subsidy, you have to make a provision to caution the hardship. Before
the government is trying to look for a way to reduce these fuel prices. We are not finding it so easy. Please, we are pleading for the government.
Take go farm, because without fuel, yes, everything is hard. Even maize now, one mudu is 700 naira. How do we take chop? Before it was how much? Before it's 200. That President Bola Ahmed Tinubu during his inaugural address had announced that fuel subsidy is gone. This has given birth to the high increase of fuel prices from 195 till today 617 naira. Nigerians are not happy and they are calling on government to look into the matter as it affects even food, transportation and other affairs of life. Edika Michael, Global TV reporting.
In view of the current security challenges in the country, the Nigerian Army says the combat readiness of soldiers and other security agencies must be top-notch at all times. The general officer commanding 2 divisions of the Nigerian Army handed down the instruction during the division's inter-brigade combat competition at Sobi, Cantonment, Ilori. Kikelomo Okiri completes the story.
The inter-brigade competition is organized for warrant officers and senior non-commissioned officers in the 5 military formation under the 2 divisions of the Nigerian Army. The participating brigades are from Edo, Ondo, Oyo, and Kwara states. Addressing the participants, the General Officer commanding 2 divisions of the Nigerian Army, Major General Valentine Okoro, says the competition is to sharpen their combat readiness. The GOC was represented by Commander 22 Armored Brigade, Sobi Cantonment, Ilorin, Brigadier General Adebayo Babalola.
The aim of it is to test our warrant officers and senior non-commissioned officers on their combat readiness. They are the link between the officers and the other soldiers.
It says Nigeria rely on the army and other security operatives to tackle security challenges in the country, calling on the participants to be combat ready.
Gentlemen, you know that we have various security challenges all across the country, and the whole citizens of Nigeria rely solely on the Nigerian Army, the armed forces, and other security agencies. Therefore, our combat readiness at all times must be top priority.
The 4-day competition is expected to end on Thursday. The participants competing in drilling, combat swimming, obstacle crossing, and range classification. Kike Lomo Okeri, Global Television News.
Yes, it's still the news cycle on Global TV, coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. We'd like to remind you we're on StarTimes channel 276 and urge you to follow us across our social media platform at Global TV NG. When the news cycle returns, we'll give you more stories. Stay tuned. Thank you for staying back. And now on the foreign scene, Donald Trump has said he expects to be arrested by a federal inquiry into the U.S. Capitol riot and efforts to challenge the 2020 election result. The ex-president said in a social media post he had been informed by Special Counsel Jack Smith on Sunday night that he was a target of their investigation. Mr. Trump said that he was told to report to a grand jury, which he noted almost always means an arrest and indictment. Such an indictment would be Trump's third for alleged criminal offenses, including 37 counts brought by Mr. Smith's team in June accusing the president of mishandling classified documents. Trump has also been charged in New York City with falsifying business record in 2016. Hush money payments to adult film star Stormy Daniels is due to stand trial in the case next March. And now in sports, we now join Fidelis in Guyana.
A good day that we could load them a little bit.
Following their departure from Nigeria on 2nd July for a 15-day camping program in Gold Coast, Australia, ahead of their group games against Canada, co-host Australia and debutant Republic of Ireland. The Falcons of Nigeria have now arrived at base in Brisbane to a warm welcome from FIFA officials as they make final preparations before their opening match. The 9-time African champions, who have been building capacity since departing the shores of Nigeria after a rousing send-forth in Abuja, continues training in earnest.
Well, obviously the weather is going to be a little bit of a factor. It's going to be much colder there than it is here. It's obviously winter in Australia. So, we're just going to have to adapt to it. It's a 12:30 kickoff midday game, so that should help a little bit with the weather. And I think the thing is, you get to this point, you just have to play in the elements, whatever they are. You're at a World Cup, so our players will just mentally have to be ready to play for that. But I think the players are prepared.
The Women's World Cup Mondial kicks off on Thursday, 20th July, and Nigeria will take to the field of play against Olympic champion Canada on Friday, 24th July 2023. Fidelix Inyegumena for Global Television News.
And that's it on Global TV News Cycle. We're on StarTimes channel 276. Kindly follow us across our social media platform at Global TV NG. On behalf of the production team, I am Judith Peters. Thank you so very much for watching. Have a beautiful night rest.